This is Omar for BoxNation. It's Christmas Eve morning. I'm joined by Frank Warren. I bet you thought your Christmas Eve wouldn't be spent talking to me, but here we are.
Well, there you go, mate. I've got one of Santa's little helpers on the line with me.
Frank, we're back in London now after an incredible week and weekend in Riyadh, which has become the capital of world boxing. I'd say the second biggest fight of the year we just witnessed. The first one was obviously the one in May between the same gentlemen, Fury and Usyk. Just give me your reflections and breakdown of the rematch now, Frank. How do you look back upon it?
I watched it again. I still feel that Tyson won it. I think it was much closer than I thought it was the first time, but I still thought he won it. And before all the haters got on, what I was saying in my interviews that I did with you and others out there regarding the scoring was I watched it again. I've been doing this sport for a long, long time, and a lot of people involved in the sport who I consider to be quite knowledgeable. And I think I'm relatively knowledgeable, having been doing it for 47 years and guided God knows how many guys to championships around in my time. Um, I don't see how one of the judges did not give Tyson one of the last 7 rounds. I cannot see that. I've watched it back, and the other two judges each give him a round each. I don't understand that. So that's my position, and it's not going to change the result. The result is what it is, but it's disappointing. And for me, um, it was a close fight, whatever way you want it. Like the first fight, it was a close fight. These two guys, that's what they are. They have close fights. They always have a close fight. There's no doubt about that. I thought Tyson would be stopping him this time, but it didn't happen. But and I take my hat off to Usyk. I have nothing but the utmost respect for him as a boxer. I have no complaints about him, never have. And nothing I say is against him. It's just how I viewed and watched the fight. And the people around me, I see Oscar De La Hoya categorically sitting up the other side of Bob Arum and his wife, and we were talking all through the fight. He had Tyson coming out as a winner. He said that to me, as did Bob Arum, for what it's worth. But it's irrelevant because the decision is what it is, and it was another great night. Except for the result, it was a great night for boxing there again in Riyadh, which is the world's capital of boxing.
Frank, I was actually going to bring this up. I know you told me straight after that you spoke to De La Hoya and he had Tyson up. I have seen two interviews from De La Hoya since where he said contrary, he had Usyk up. Have you
I
seen?
don't care what he said. Listen, that's what he might have said. I'm telling you, that's what he said to me. That we were sitting there he was sitting, you look on the TV, he's sitting a couple of seats away from me. That's not how what he was saying to me when he was sitting with me. And I'd look him in the eye and tell him that.
Okay. I remember on the night you said you had Tyson 2 or 3 rounds up. After watching it back on television, how did you score it?
I think he won it. I think he won it. For me, it was like by a couple of rounds. I've spoken to a couple of other people who also thought Tyson won, watched it back, and have seen it different. And I've spoken to people who've watched it. A couple of people who watched it have called me. I don't go soliciting what they got to say about it. People have called me, and people from America. Tom Hauser said he felt Tyson won. Jean-Philippe Lustig from France, who was Canal Plus's main boxing guy for many, many years. I think he did the zone over there. He sent me a message saying he thought Tyson won it. But that's how people view fights. It is what it is. It was again a close fight. These guys are their styles will always be like this. This is how it is.
Would you, I think you've touched upon it there, but would you admit there was plenty of swing rounds? And what I mean by that is that either
I
man
can
could have got the nod.
Yeah, I can see what you're saying. Then I do understand that, and I do understand where it comes from. But it depends what you're looking for in fights. I see with like some of this artificial intelligence stuff. I look at that, and it's how it's programmed because they keep talking about power punches in fights, and power punches for me is not how you score a fight. That is not the way a fight is scored. A fight is scored by being hit with the correct part of the glove. That's what it's about. Otherwise, if it was all about power punches, boxers who are not big punchers might as well pack it in.
Okay. The punch stats did have Usyk outlanding Tyson, no, not in terms of power shots, but just in terms of outlanding him.
Sorry.
I said the punch that came out did have Usyk outlanding Tyson across the 12 rounds, Frank.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I didn't sit there. I don't sit there counting the punches. I sit there looking at the round, and at the end of it, make my, how I view the fight. That's how it is. Not everybody agrees. Some people they say what they got. Some people may have an agenda. I have no idea. All I'm telling you is what I've seen, and I do like to think, as I started this off by saying, I think I know a little bit about boxing. I've been pretty successful at it for a long, long, long time, and still am, and still bringing fighters through, good fighters. And I don't do that without any knowledge.
Tyson clearly had different tactics in this rematch, Frank. He stood his ground. He sort of wasn't going to let Usyk push him around the ring and boil him down like he did in the last fight and got tired. He stood his ground, took the center of the ring, and was trying to walk him
I
with.
don't think I don't agree with that. He didn't get
You
tired
know,
last time. He won the last round. He was the fresher of the two fighters. Even the judges, you know, in that instant, all gave him the last round of the last fight. I don't agree with that at all. And I see
he,
them
de
both.
he
I've
he
said
definitely faded from 8, 9, 10, didn't he? And then recovered in the 12th.
Faye got caught with a shot in the eighth round, which completely threw him out of his stride. He got hit on the nose, and he was at the same fight. The ninth round was a big round. He got caught in the ninth round, but Usyk couldn't finish him in the 10th or the 11th. I mean, we're talking about a fight before, which I don't want to get into all that, but that's what happened. You got to go back. That is what occurred. He wasn't knackered or falling out. They were both tired, but he was the more tired fighter. And I'm not taking anything away from them. They are two magnificent, magnificent fighters. They got big hearts, they got big balls, they come to fight. The both of them, they're fabulous fighters, and that's why they're such good competitive fights.
How would you assess Tyson's approach in this rematch then compared to the first fight?
It was a different fight. It wasn't like the last fight. I mean, they fought differently. It was they were both of them. They were. I'm not saying there was caution from both of them, but they both, he got hurt a couple of times last time in the fight. Usyk, and Tyson got hurt in the ninth round against Usyk, by Usyk. So, but that didn't happen to either of them in this fight.
Mm. I think yeah, the extra weight on Tyson, you could clearly see, especially towards the end of the fight, he was
Look, they
leaning
weighed in. Let me tell you something. He weren't
on.
far off of his fighting weight. He weighed in with a load of clothes on. I mean, they're heavyweights. That's what he weighed in. And I mean, again, I think it's one of the journalists talking about him wearing his shorts up to underneath his nipples. Bullshit, is it? The referee came in the dressing room before the fight. The way he wore them was illegal. Did you hear one complaint about that from the other side?
No.
None at all. Some idiot in there who knows nothing about boxing coming out with that. It's just, I don't know. I just find it ridiculous, some of this stuff that's said. He was not coming in massively overweight at all. He doesn't blow up massively in between fights. He's in the gym constantly. That's one of the things he does. He may have done that before he came back, but he certainly doesn't do that now. Anybody who lives up in Morecambe will tell you they see him running every day. That's what he does. These people are so ignorant about these things.
Okay, obviously it was before the fight and it's kind of irrelevant now, but you have brought up something from the rules meeting. I just want to clarify some things that went on in the rules meeting. So the situation about Tyson's beard, Frank, just talk
Oh,
to me about
what a
that.
non-issue, a total lot of crap and a non-issue. If it was illegal, then they wouldn't have allowed him to wear his beard. How many fighters you seen get in the ring with beards?
Quite a
I'll
lot.
give you an example. I'll give you an example of a fighter who gets in the ring, Hamza Shiraz, and many more fighters have done it in this day and age.
But
Nothing
Turbiev had
unusual.
one in October.
Yeah, but that's Berbia did Berbert he did Berbatov. He had one as well. But there's lots of fighters, and it's a non-issue. It's not illegal. It's not against the rules. It was decided in the rules meeting. I brought it up. They were talking about, oh, it's bristly, it's hard. I said, longer beers are softer than shorter beers, right?
Yeah.
And it's just a nonsense. It was a total, absolute non-issue and a bit of gamesmanship from Aegis. I know Aegis. It's like getting you at it, and the naive people in boxing who don't know the rules, who think they know them, get carried away with all this bullshit.
There was a replacement official that obviously came and just talked to me about that
Yeah.
issue as well, Frank. What happened
Well,
there?
what happened was there was three officials which we agreed on, and there was two substitute officials which we both agreed on. And what happened was that one of the officials was taken ill, the other two flew in, and they wanted one, we wanted the other, and a coin was tossed.
Okay.
So it was very fair, and that's it.
Another thing, Frank, obviously Oleksandr Usyk is a devout Christian. We saw in the first fight he kissed the cross in the ring. Did you say to their team he can't take the cross in the corner? Is that correct?
Just we didn't say he can't take the cross. We said any objects that are not allowed under the rules of boxing, if they're taken into the ring, then they should be then given to the inspector.
Okay.
He should hold them. Nobody else should hold them. And what was agreed in the rules meeting, that the only things that would be touched to any mouths was water.
Right. Okay.
And anything else happened, that the official would take it. Not a problem with that. Why should there be a problem with that?
And the last one was obviously this was definitely going to be brought up when Oleksandr Usyk's in a fight, but sort of where the belt line is, was that straightforward in discussing that?
It's with the belt line. Everybody, it is what it was, exactly the same as what it was when Dubois fought. Shots are the navel. Okay, the navel is anything below the navel is a low blow. That is it. It is. That's what it is. And the referee made it very clear. If anybody's shorts are higher than the navel, he will determine what it is. Excuse me. He came into the dressing room before the fight. He looked at Tyson's shorts and protects that the same as he did with Usyk before the fight, and that was it. And he allowed them both to wear what they wore,
Okay.
where it was.
We've discussed a
Not an
lot.
issue. Not an issue. Not an issue.
We've discussed a lot about Tyson in this so far. In terms of Oleksandr Usyk, Frank, he always, whatever you had the scorecards, it was a close fight, and he always seems to adapt and adjust in there very quickly. He seemed to do that, especially
He's
in
a
the.
good fighter. I've said that. I mean, it's like I'm saying. Like, I don't know. It's like some people thinking, or I'm saying, he's not a good fighter. I had utmost respect for him, a fighter, as does Tyson. Absolute respect for him. He's a great, great fighter. He's done everything, excuse me, that's been asked of him. Why wouldn't anybody say he's a great fighter?
The AI judge had it, what, 9-3?
I don't care about AI bullshit. I'm not even interested in it. 9-3, do me a favour. Do me a favour.
Could you see 6 or 7-5, Frank?
Sorry?
Could you see a result where a 6-all card was accurate or not?
A 6-all?
Yeah,
Yeah, there was a few people who scored it a draw.
I had it level, yeah.
Did you have it level?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think a few of the journalists I spoke to had it by 1 point or 2 point. A couple of journalists had it wider. I didn't. I thought I marked it, as I say, how I see the fight and what I felt I felt uh, was the busier boxer in what I mean by that, with the correct punches and the correct part of the glove.
Okay, there's been a few articles that have been released in national newspapers. I just want to start with Oliver Brown's one in the Daily Telegraph. The headline is Tyson Fury is no man of the people. He is a thug. Just a reaction to his
Well, that's
article.
libelous. That is libelous. You go and look at the dictionary meaning of thug, it says criminal. And if I was Tyson, I'd sue their asses. I would sue their asses. That is outrageous. A petty thug. I mean, what sort of, it's just disgusting that he even says that. I mean, he doesn't like Tyson. He doesn't like Saudi. He's made that very clear. I met him. I met him and had lunch with him, and I spoke to him, and I know what his feelings are about it. He's told me. He didn't say too much about Tyson, but he doesn't like Tyson. All the sorts of everything he was saying about him, the way he speaks, and that. Now, he's an intelligent man, Oliver. Before he even used the word thug, he should have looked at the dictionary first, or before he used that word. And secondly, to keep on talking about Tyson's language and the things he says. I'm going to tell you something about Tyson, and it's been said many, many times. He has bipolar. Go on the National Health Service website, and it gives you a lot of the symptoms of being bipolar. And one of those things is you say things. You can say something completely outrageous. You can say that. If he had another condition, what would be no sympathy for that? So you got no sympathy for Tyson as regarding some of the things that he may have said, which a person who has bipolar has, would say. My younger brother, I told you about him before, he became schizophrenic. So I don't need Oliver Brown, who's supposed to be an educated man, to use words like thugs and then not even know what bipolar is and doesn't. And when it's mentioned, it's like it's an excuse. It's not an excuse, it's a condition. And Tyson's done a lot for people who suffer uh, health and mental health problems, a lot for them. And I'm sure if they all came forward, the people would be overwhelmed with the help that he's given and the inspiration he's given and the braveness he's shown to discuss his condition. And I just find it offensive. And I find it offensive when they should be going there talking about the man as a boxer and what he's done in the ring. It's like nothing he's done in the ring means anything. It's a man who went and beat the best heavyweight in his generation in Usyk in his adopted country's backyard.
Klitschko, you mean, Frank, not Usyk?
Yeah, Klitschko, and went to America and fought the same guy 3 times in unbelievable fights. A couple of fights were brutal fights. The first Usyk fight, there was nothing in it. What was Usyk in the ring on his own? He wasn't in there with another guy who was fighting him. It's just disgusting the way they talk. And then they bang on about, Muhammad Ali, who was my hero. But Muhammad Ali, the same guy who said, that blacks shouldn't marry whites, that parrots don't go, I think it's whatever birds it was, parrots and pigeons don't go together, and the white man's the devil, and all these sort of things, and various other things he said. I'm sure which he regretted saying in later life, but he wasn't bipolar, and talking about and just dismissing Tyson as a boxer. And it's the same with the guy at the Sun, David Kidd. The place. I mean, they've got an agenda. He's anti-Saudi to start with, but they go there with this ridiculous bullshit. And the report was just an out-and-out lie. He said it was half empty and there was no atmosphere. Was you there?
It was a very good atmosphere, like the first fight was.
And was it half empty?
No,
Of course, it wasn't bloody up. Why would you even say that? And it's the end of boxing. And do you know what? They feel that way about it. They don't go. And I've got to tell you what hypocrites they are. They get paid by their newspapers. Yeah, that's what they get their wages from their newspapers. Their newspapers derive their income from advertising. Their newspapers take advertising for Diriyah, the city, full-page advertising in their newspapers. If they feel the way they feel, then they shouldn't go there. They should report on it and make a stand, or donate the money they earn going there to whatever charity they want to give it to. If they feel so bad about it, this is just they go there with a poison pen. And by the way, David Kidd, for example, how many fights does he go to a year? When you ever seen him at ringside, you wouldn't even know what he even looked like, would you?
no, to be
They
honest.
dip in every now and then and think that they're experts. They're not experts. They're observers, and they can't even get that right. Saying the place was half empty and there was no atmosphere. It's outrageous. I just find it, and I'm sticking up for my sport. I'm not sticking up for Tyson Fury when I'm saying this. I'm sticking up for the sport. I'm sticking up for the people who did go there. There are a lot of Brits out there. There are a load of Ukrainians there. Lots of Ukrainians there. Lots of people there. And, because Usyk inspires his fellow countrymen, the same as Tyson does the same thing. And to say what he said was just crap. And they don't know boxing. They don't know left hooks from fish hooks.
Before we move on to other stuff, do you just want to say anything else regarding Brown and Kidd's pieces in their papers?
Not really. I just wish they would. I just wish they would get off Tyson's back. He has bipolar. Understand that. It's not an excuse. It's an existing condition he has. And that is it. Look back on the footage of both fights. What's the first thing he does, Tyson, when the bell ends?
Kisses Usyk's head.
There you go. There you go. Both fights. Both fights. If he's got to get himself into a mode before a fight, which some fighters do, I mean, look at the stuff, as I said, Ali did. I mean, he went to Sonny Liston's house, banging on his door. It's that's fighters. This is not football. It's not hockey. This is the sport of guys where everything's on the line from. And And these guys obviously don't understand that. And what they don't understand is what it's like for somebody who suffers from bipolar and they don't understand the symptoms. And as educated people, they should look online. It's very easy. Just tap in bipolar NHS and it'll give you all the symptoms.
What's this in
And, and,
reference to?
and if you don't understand what the word thug means for an intelligent man, then go on, get your dictionary. You're an educated man. Open it up and look at the meaning of the word thug. Petty thug, he called him.
What,
Disgusting.
what did he actually say in Fight Week to trigger this? What's this in reference to?
Maybe some of the things that Tyson said in the past. I don't know, whatever it is, but he's certainly not a thug, and he's got no criminal convictions. Has zero criminal convictions. He's He pays all his taxes. He lives here. He doesn't live abroad. He pays his taxes. Contributes to the country's economy in a big way. He lives in Morecambe. He lives a pretty modest life up there. He's not a, he's a, and he is, whether you like it or not, or they like it or not, he is a man of the people because that's what he is. He lives that way. And he's got pretty simplistic life. In fact, that's how he is. And I'm close to him. I'll stick up for him. Whether he fights on or not, that's going to be his choice. If he wants to retire tomorrow, I'll support him wholeheartedly. But whatever, at the end of the day, to try and diminish his achievements in the ring is disgusting by any of these people who sit on the safe side of the ropes, pontificating and think they knowing about it. They don't know what the trials and tribulations that some of these guys go through. They wouldn't even begin to imagine, contemplating suicide and so forth. It's just really, really, I find it offensive, to be quite honest. And when I see them, I would actually, unlike them, I would tell them to their face.
Okay. Moving on, Daniel Dubois stormed the ring after the fight, took the mic off Usyk and called him out. What did you think of that from your man?
Listen. He got in the ring. I didn't expect him to go and grabbing mics and that. I didn't really particularly like that, but he's done what lots of fighters have done in the past when they call people out. It weren't. I don't think it's quite the appropriate time to do it, but it's done, and there's what can I do? There's nothing to be done about it. Daniel has got a tough fight in February to worry about. That's the main thing he should be worrying about at the moment, and that's his fight against um, Joe Parker. That is going to be a tough fight for both of them. It's a good fight, and I'm looking forward to that. And after that fight, then let's see what happens.
Yeah, Frank, I've got to say, look, obviously Daniel Dubois has been in magnificent form. The Miller fight, the Hrgovic fight, then knocking out Joshua at Wembley. He is on top of the world. Joseph Parker is a world-class fighter, former world champion. He's talking about Usyk. He's talking about Usyk throughout the week. He
Got
did
to
it after the
focus
fight.
on the 22nd of February. That's what he's got to focus on.
Do you think he's overlooking him, Joseph Parker?
No, he won't overlook him, but that's what he's got to focus on. That is what he needs to focus on. That and nothing else at the moment.
Okay.
That's the job in hand. That ain't going to be no walk in the park.
If, and in your opinion, when he does beat Joseph Parker, do you think that is something that we could see the rematch between Usyk and Dubois later in 2025?
It'd be a unification of the titles, wouldn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, and it'd be a great fight to watch, but let's focus on the main event first, which is the
Okay.
22nd.
Okay. Someone who stole the headlines. Incredible what Moses Itauma did there because Dempsey McKean obviously went 12 with Hrgovic, got stopped in the 12th. And Hrgovic is a world-class operator, and Itauma at 19 years old just wiped him out.
Unbelievable. An unbelievable statement. He did last time what he did. This time, it was even better. And when you look at, with Dempsey's going into that Hrgovic fight, he was undefeated. And that fight was the final eliminator for the world title. That's what it was. That's why Hrgovic became the mandatory. So that tells you the level it was at. And he went out there and absolutely done a job. That was an unbelievable job.
Yeah. Your son, Francis, obviously manages Moses, put some names to me straight afterwards that he'd happily put Moses in with next year. Filip Hrgovic was one of them. Kubrat Pulev was another. Charles Martin was also mentioned. These are world level guys. You'd be more than happy to do that, Frank.
Look, he's a good manager, Francis, and obviously Moses is a good fighter. They're a great team with Ben and the team, everybody there. And we've done a great job with him. I had no problem with those fights at all. He's, as I say, for a teenager, what he did was just amazing, amazing. I mean, they were real power punches, if that's what your AI are looking for. I mean, I mean, they were serious. He's a serious, serious puncher. He's a good boxer. Very good tactics. The jab to the body, and then bringing over the left hand. I mean, it was two really good shots, he's got this tremendous natural power.
I think the only problem really is going to be is how you navigate it because he's so special, Moses Salmon, so talented, but he's 19 years old. He hasn't really done any rounds in the professional ranks. So I guess the job for you in France is just how you navigate the next few years for him.
I'd much rather it be my problem than somebody else's.
Can I ask you then how you actually go about this process?
Same as we go back about the process with most of our fighters. We look and we look and we study, and then we make our decisions. That's what we do. And I like to feel the majority of the time we get it right, especially if you've got somebody as talented as he has. It makes it easier.
Yeah, I asked that because he could go into a world title fight next year, which sounds ridiculous because he's a professional novice, and people would back him to win. That's how talented he is. So it's just about, I suppose, trying to get him some rounds, Frank, with someone first.
But you say that. I mean, the guys who he's fought, the last couple of guys he fought was to get him some rounds. They're real good operators and operated at the top level. And he did what he did. He's not just a big puncher, he's a good boxer.
Yeah.
He's smart. He's a smart fighter. Don't think he's just a bish bosh and it's all over. He goes out there and he does it. He finds his openings quickly, but he's got a good boxing brain, and he's got a fabulous jab.
Can I just give you one name actually? Jarrell Miller.
Yeah,
He's tough. He's durable. He could take Moses some rounds, and it'd be an easy fight to sell.
we'll see. Yeah, there's lots of fights. You should get going at border control as soon as the holidays are over. Go and apply for a matchmaker's license.
Let's do it. Lastly, Frank, just another heavyweight fight I want to talk to you about. Much, much, much talked about since Saturday night because everyone believes that Dave Allen won the fight. I know on the night you were in Tyson's change room and stuff during that fight. Have you had a chance to watch it, and what do you think?
Yeah, I did watch it back, and I thought Dave nicked it.
Okay. Thoughts on Johnny's performance?
Look, was that his 12th fight?
Yes, he's early on in his career.
He's a novice. He's a big puncher. He's a novice, and again, there was somebody who got him some rounds. He got some rounds out of it, and it was what it was.
Let me just check. That was Johnny's. How many fights has he had? That was his 13th fight. Yeah.
Off the same fight, yeah.
Yeah. Um,
Dave's a tough guy. He's a competitor, and he soaked it up. He absorbed a lot of punishment early on in the fight and got back into the fight.
okay. Any other sort of takeaways from the night, Frank, before we close off?
No, just that how exciting it was. It was exciting fights. Besides the fact, obviously I'm with Tyson and I'm biased and all those things. At the end of the day, having watched it back calmly as well, it was a bloody good fight, and it was an exciting night. No doubt about that.
Listen, Frank, obviously this was just a reflection on Saturday night. Can we do before the year ends, can we do something in the office where we just go through the whole year? Because it's been an incredible year.
Absolutely. And some of the good fights that I'd like to make with some of our guys. There's some brilliant fights. I'll tell you one fight I would love to make
Go on.
sometime next year, and that's Inoue against Nick Ball.
Wow. That would be a firefight while it lasts.
Be a good fight.
100%.
That's potential fight of the year.
For sure, for sure. Well, listen, Frank, have a good Christmas with your loved ones. Thank you very much for your time.
And you, and enjoy it, and a happy Christmas to everybody at BoxNation, all the viewers, and a happy, healthy, and successful New Year's to everybody.
Most certainly. It's been a remarkable year, 2024 for boxing. We will go through it before the year closes. I'll see you in the office. But yeah, thanks for your time and yeah, enjoy your Christmas, Frank. See you later.
I'll see you when I'm looking at you. Be good.
Likewise. Cheers.
Right, so.